Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you very much for your great support. I want you to understand something very interesting about the National Infrastructure Fund, which its bill is already in the National Assembly about to be passed by the members of the Parliament. But before I even take you into that, I want to show you some response by the former ICT Cabinet Secretary Eliud Owalo when he was asked if he knows anything about ownership of the e-citizen, because it is less than a week after the Auditor General gave us a statement that someone, an authorized person who they don't know and they cannot trace, withdrew 1.3 trillion Kenya shillings from the e-citizen.
Who own e-citizen? Uniuliza tena hiyo, mimi sijui. Bwana, ulikuwa waziri wa ICT na e-citizen ilikuwa chini ya wizara yako.
Hapo wacha nikueleze ukweli. Niliingia kwa hiyo wizara, nikajaribu kusuluhisha hizo maneno matatizo ya ownership ya e-citizen. Hapo nilishindwa.
Haujui hata
mimi si
director moja wa e-citizen.
Mimi siwajui hao jamaa. Siwajui.
And wanafanya kazi ya serikali.
Ndio. Na niliwapata hapo na nikawawacha hapo. Na wanaendelea siwajui mimi.
Hata mmoja.
Siwajui. Nimekuwa nao watu wanaita kwa mkutano wakati nilijaribu kusuluhisha hiyo matatizo ya ownership ya e-citizen. Tulikaa mimi na hata waziri wa National Treasury, yeah? Na ile kitu ambayo tulifanya ni kwamba tuliwalazimisha wa seed management ya e-citizen kwa ICT authority.
This week, somebody sends me something, and I sure hope it's not true, but I think it is. They said, the Auditor General, Nancy Gathongo, said this: unaccounted for withdrawals. So somebody went into our e-citizen, because it is ours. Somebody went into our e-citizen and withdrew manually, which is unprocedural, because you don't withdraw manually. Someone withdrew 1.3 trillion Kenya shillings. It's almost a joke. Somebody withdrew from our e-citizen 1.3 trillion. Not billion, not million. Now, let me show you what 1 trillion looks like. 1 trillion is 1 million. You have 1 million shillings? 1 million times. This country has become a joke. And this is what I want to say, brothers and sisters. The current government is God's judgment on Kenya. It's the only way to explain it. I will repeat. The current government, our current government, is God's judgment on Kenya. For sure, kama wanaweza manually to be a 1.3, for sure God anatupunish. God is punishing Kenya. This government is God's judgment on us.
As we continue, ladies and gentlemen, I want to humbly request you that if you're watching this podcast and you've not subscribed to the channel, kindly subscribe to the channel and activate the notification. Like our videos, comment and share to show your support to our work in this channel. And to those who have already subscribed to the channel, we say thank you very much for your great support. So the National Infrastructure Fund, that money was supposed to come from the taxes imposed on Kenyans. And it was supposed to be kept in a public account managed by the Treasury. Now, yesterday, the Treasury Cabinet Secretary Ruto-Mbadi admitted that he lied to the people of Kenya about that fund. And I want to explain to you how he lied and why he lied and how that his lie will affect us. That money was supposed to be managed by the treasury, but they failed to give the treasury to manage it and hired a private company to take over management of that fund. Meaning they knew if the treasury had to manage that fund, then they could have followed the procedures of the Article 206A of the 2010 Constitution as it states, and they could have followed that procedure even during the withdrawal. And the good thing with that constitution is that it could have followed up and tell us how much was withdrawn from the account, how much was spent from that amount that was withdrawn, and where the balance is to be taken, or what the balance from the withdrawn amount did. So because they knew that and wangetumia hiyo, that information could have not only lied on the treasury and the president, but we could also have known about that.
We all come from regions and represent places, Honorable Speaker. We suffer from poor road network across the country, especially those of us who represent rural constituencies, Honorable Speaker. We need to ask ourselves this question. Do we continue putting this country into further debt by further borrowing, Honorable Speaker? Do we overburden the taxpayers, through overtaxation, Honorable Speaker, so that you can be able to mitigate the challenges of poor road network? Those are the questions that that should be answered by this particular proposal of the National Infrastructure Fund, Honorable Speaker. And any person who genuinely needs a road, any person that genuinely needs this country to progress, Honorable Speaker, should be supporting this whole concept of national, the creative way of making or raising these funds, Honorable Speaker, so that we can be able to, to mitigate this challenge that we are facing. Because the question is imposing additional taxes or further borrowing. Those are the only two things or two options that we have, Honorable Speaker, to raise funds. If we do not use those two options, Honorable Speaker, then the third option is to create or come up with an innovative mechanism, which we are doing through the National Infrastructure Fund, and then we legislate about it, and then we pass through it, it becomes a good bill, then it's ascended by the president. So we should be discussing on the content of the structure of leadership, the Honorable Karoli Omondi, in the committee of the whole, so that we are able to, part of the structure, especially the governance structure of the NIF, that is the question of the structure of governance of the funds, and that you can propose it as we go to the committee of the whole. Not really saying the whole concept is bad, it's bad law. You really can't do that, Honorable Speaker. So with those many remarks, Honorable Speaker, I beg to support this and urge the House to support it as it is. Thank you very much.
Now, bringing in this private company meant that whenever they want to withdraw any amount from that account, hakuna mwenye atajua apart from them. Sisi hatutajua ni ngapi imetolewa. Kwanza hatutajua balance ni ngapi, hatutajua ngapi imetolewa, hatutajua imefanya nini. And that is why they brought about that private company. Because the President, William Ruto, is being reported to have the interest of using that money to bribe the people of Kenya in the 2027 general elections. And I want you to watch this video of Silvanus Osoro trying to defend the bill of that National Infrastructure Fund in the Parliament, explaining to us, giving us reasons why that bill is correct. Sometimes if our members of Parliament are explaining these things, you can really understand him and see that truly the thing this guy is talking about is what is supposed to be done. They can give you a very, very serious reason why that bill has to be passed. But with me, I understand the reason why they are fighting for passing that bill is because they know after they've passed that bill in the Parliament, the National Assembly, they have some of their millions somewhere kept for them by the president. Sasa wao watakuwa after failing us, with them they will be gaining.
This particular proposed fund is seeking to actualize or operationalize. In other words, what is its legal anchor or what are its legal legs? And one of my colleagues is indicating it is Article 206 of the Constitution. And for the benefit of the members, I think it would be useful to read Article 206(1)(a) of the Constitution so that we are all on the same page. That particular article says, "There's established the consolidated fund into which shall be paid all money raised or received by or on behalf of the national government, except money that is reasonably excluded from the fund by an act of Parliament and payable into another public fund established for a specific purpose." Honorable Speaker, if that is the article on which we are relying, then we need to be very clear. All money received or raised on or behalf of the national government must be paid into the consolidated fund. That naturally would include proceeds of privatization. And money raised or received by or on behalf of the national government and which should be paid into the consolidated fund can be excluded by an act of Parliament, which I believe is what this bill is trying to do, and be paid into another public fund established for a specific purpose. And by specific purpose, that would mean any other purpose other than those listed under 4th schedule of the Constitution.
So this is something that the boss in that sector, the cabinet secretary, had already admitted to the people that he lied to them about that fund. But with you still come to convince the people that it is good and it has importance. But why should they pass that bill now, after the cabinet secretary had already admitted that it was a lie? Why pass that bill? And if it has to be passed, then return it back to the treasury. Take it away from that private company and return it back to the treasury. Then try and give us some clear information about how that money is being spent, where that money is going to. And with me, I see it that maybe these are some of the reasons why our government has been failing us all that time, because of lacking transparency on dealing with public funds. Thank you for watching this podcast.